All right, so this is a motorized miter box. And what it's designed for is cutting straight but at angled lines. And it's generally designed for doing what we're going to call cross cutting, because it's, as opposed to the table saw where you cut with the fence, so what goes against here, and you cut sort of perpendicular fence. Now, some things about safety with this your piece of wood should always be down against the table and back against the fence. It has a similar, I'm going to raise the guard here so you can see the blade has a similar type of blade, a circular blade, solid kind of blade to the table saw. You want to have your hands far away from the blade. You do not want to have your fingers in really close, because as the blade comes down, the guard lifts. And you can cut your fingers. So you want to have your hands away. You can bring the blade down before turning it on and line it up, but then lift. Always make any power tool, belt, blade, or whatever, make sure that you're not in contact with the material when you start it up. First start it up, get it moving, and then feed it through. So I'll just trim a little bit off. So I'm holding it with my hand out. I should have turned on the dust collector to help collect some of the dust. It's a little loud. Like that. Anyway, some of the other things, it's a compound motorized miter box. And so you have this over here, so you can take this, release this, and go to different angles. So again, you want your hand out of the way. You can get an angled cut. We can also do a compound miter on the back here. I'm going to turn it this way so you can see. Back here, there's a knob. See this knob? That I loosen up, going the wrong way, and then I can tilt that at an angle, pull it away, and bring this back. So now instead of not only a miter, we're going to get a bevel as well. So it has the miter and the bevel to the cut. If you're putting things together, you can get a different type of angle to things. Generally speaking, you want to return those to 0, perpendicular, when you're done, just because it's more convenient for people. That's usually what they're trying to do. The other thing is, this has a side piece that gives you more support if you're doing like that, but if you're beveling, you want to make sure that it's out of the way. And again, just like I said with the table saw, you don't want to do this sort of cross-cutting thing with a fence there. You do not want to hold it like that. This is not enough stability, and it'll rock, and it could twist and you could hurt yourself, but you can also bend and damage the blade. So you always want to work with the length of it along the fence. Also, little tiny pieces of wood. Your hands are too close, so no. No little tiny pieces of wood, because your fingers are too close there. You want to have your hands farther back and away from the saw. Also, so we got that. All right, we don't want to do, this seems obvious to me, we don't want to do that where our arm is crossing over the area where the blade's going down. Okay? And you also, sometimes people refer to this as a chop saw, and they get the idea that they're chopping. Let the blade come to full speed, then you cut through the wood. Don't kind of try to slam it into there. Take your time. Most of the pine stuff they're going to be using is relatively soft, so it shouldn't be, unless you hit a knot, shouldn't be too hard to cut through, but you shouldn't also be slamming or forcing the tool. All right?